What if your daughter starts talking to someone and you think she's just talking to her doll or toys, but she's not? When Emma's daughter Lily makes new friends after moving to a quiet farmhouse, it seems harmless at first. But as strange things begin happening in the cornfield, Emma realizes these friends aren't what they seem. A dark secret, buried for over a century, is about to come to life, and her daughter is at the center of it. Story starts when the Johnson family, Emma, the mom, David, the dad, and their 7-year-old daughter Lily move into an old farmhouse in the countryside. The house is surrounded by tall cornfields that stretch for miles in every direction. The fields are so big that you can't see the end of them. The farmhouse is far away from the nearest town, and the roads are quiet and empty. It feels peaceful, but also a little lonely. The only sound is the wind blowing through the corn. David is excited because he wanted to live somewhere calm away from the busy city. Emma likes the quiet too, but she feels nervous because everything is so far away, and she doesn't know anyone here. They unpack their things and Lily runs outside to explore. She plays in the backyard, running toward the tall corn. Emma watches her from the kitchen window, feeling a little worried. The cornfield looks dark and mysterious, but David reassures her, saying it's just a field, nothing to be scared of. After a few days, Lily starts talking about her new friends. At first, Emma and David think she's just pretending. Lily says her friends are named Eli, Sarah, and Peter, and they live in the cornfield. She tells her parents that these friends come out to play with her when she's outside. Emma and David laugh it off. They think Lily is lonely and is making up imaginary friends to pass the time. They don't worry too much because it seems like normal behavior for a kid. But soon, Lily starts talking about her new friends every day. She says they are really nice and fun to play with. Emma begins to feel uneasy, but she tries to ignore it, thinking it's just Lily's imagination. One night, after the family has gone to bed, Emma hears something strange. It sounds like footsteps outside, as if someone is walking around the house. She listens carefully. The sound seems to be coming from the cornfield. She wakes David, who grabs a flashlight and goes outside to check. He walks around the house, shining the light toward the corn, but he doesn't see anyone. He calls out, thinking maybe someone is playing a prank, but there's no answer. The cornfield sways in the wind, and the sound of the stalks rustling makes it feel like something is hiding in there. But when David comes back inside, he says it was probably just the wind or an animal. Emma doesn't feel convinced. Over the next few days, Emma notices that the corn seems to be growing really fast. Every morning, the stalks look taller, and they seem to be getting closer to the house. It's almost like the cornfield is slowly creeping toward them. David brushes it off, saying it's probably just a good season for the crops, but Emma finds it unsettling. Meanwhile, Lily continues to spend a lot of time outside, standing near the edge of the cornfield. She talks and giggles as if she's playing with someone. Emma starts watching her closely, feeling more and more worried. One evening, Emma asks Lily about her friends. Lily looks serious and says, "They told me they've been here for a long, long time. They used to live in a house like ours." When Emma asks more questions, Lily says the kids don't live in the corn anymore, but they want to come back. Emma feels a cold shiver run down her spine. One rainy afternoon, while cleaning the house, Emma decides to explore the old attic. It's full of dusty boxes and old furniture. As she sorts through some old things, she finds a box of children's drawings tucked away in a corner. The drawings show kids playing in a big field that looks like the cornfield outside. But some of the pictures are creepy. There are strange faces drawn in the corn, peeking out from between the stalks. Some of the faces look scared, while others look angry. The drawings are old, probably made by children who lived in the house years ago. Emma gets a bad feeling in her stomach as she looks at the pictures. She takes one of the drawings downstairs to show David, but he just laughs and says, "Kids draw weird stuff all the time, don't worry about it." But Emma can't shake the feeling that something is very wrong. As Emma tries to learn more about the area, she talks to some people in the nearby town. Most of them don't say much about the house or the cornfield, but one old man at the local store tells her about a creepy local legend. He says that many years ago, there were stories about children disappearing in the cornfields around the farmhouse. The locals called them the Cornfield Children. They said the kids were never found, and some people believed their spirits still wandered the fields, waiting for someone to play with. Emma is disturbed by the story, but doesn't know if it's just a scary tale. She asks David if he's heard anything like this, but he shakes his head and tells her it's just old folklore. Emma tries to believe him, but after everything that's happened, she can't stop worrying. Lily's behavior starts to get even stranger. She talks about her friends more often, telling Emma and David things that a 7-year-old shouldn't know. She describes old-fashioned clothes that her friends wear, like long dresses and boots, and she talks about how her friends used to play with candles and ride on horses and wagons. One night, Emma hears Lily talking in her sleep, mumbling names: Eli, Sarah, Peter, and she mentions the cornfield. Emma sits by Lily's bed, her heart racing, but when she wakes Lily up, she acts like nothing is wrong. Lily insists that her friends want to play more, and Emma feels more anxious than ever. As the days go by, Lily keeps talking about her friends more and more. She no longer just plays outside during the day. Now she stands by the window at night, staring into the dark cornfield. One evening, Emma looks out and sees Lily standing very still at the edge of the corn, like she's waiting for something. Suddenly, Emma sees shadowy figures moving between the corn stalks. They look like children. She quickly rushes outside, calling for Lily. As Emma gets closer, the shadowy figures disappear back into the corn. Lily turns to her mom and says, "They wanted me to come with them, but I told them I had to wait." Emma grabs her daughter, heart pounding, and rushes back to the house. Emma tells David what she saw, but he tries to calm her down. He says it was probably just tricks of light, or maybe some neighborhood kids playing a prank. But Emma knows what she saw. Something was out there. A few days later, while exploring the basement of the house, David finds an old wooden box hidden under some floorboards. Inside is an ancient diary. The writing is faded, but David and Emma can still read most of it. The diary belonged to a man who lived in the farmhouse over 100 years ago. As Emma flips through the pages, she gets chills. The diary talks about strange rituals that the man and other townspeople performed in the cornfields. The man writes about hard times when the crops wouldn't grow and the town was starving. To save the harvest, they believed they had to make a sacrifice to the spirits of the land. Then comes the horrifying part. The man describes sacrificing children to the cornfield. They believed the spirits of the land would accept the children and make the crops grow. Emma reads the names of the sacrificed children, and her blood runs cold. Eli, Sarah, and Peter. They're the same names as Lily's imaginary friends. The cornfield starts to feel even more threatening. The stalks seem to grow taller and closer to the house every day, and the rustling sound gets louder at night, like whispers in the wind. The cornfield looks darker, and Emma feels like it's alive watching them. Lily keeps going outside, drawn to the edge of the cornfield. She spends hours standing there, sometimes talking softly to her friends. David tells her to stop going so close to the corn, but Lily doesn't listen. One night, when Emma tries to stop her from going outside, Lily snaps at her, saying, "They're waiting for me! You don't understand!" It's the first time Lily has ever yelled at her mother, and Emma feels a deep sense of dread. Something is changing in Lily. Emma and David start to feel trapped in their own home. They decide it's time to leave the farmhouse and take Lily far away from the cornfield. But when they try to leave, strange things happen. First, their car won't start. No matter what David tries, the engine just won't turn over. When they call for help, the phone lines are dead, and there's no cell service. Even the road leading out of the property seems to be blocked. When David tries to walk down the road, he keeps finding himself back at the farmhouse, as if the cornfield is playing tricks on him. It's like the house and the cornfield are holding them captive. Emma is terrified. She doesn't understand how this is happening, but she knows something evil is at work. Lily's behavior gets worse. She no longer seems like her sweet, playful self. She spends her time staring into the corn, and when she talks, her voice sounds strange, like she's in a trance. She talks about her friends as if they're her real family, and says things like, "They understand me. They've been waiting for me for so long." One night, Emma overhears Lily talking to someone when she thinks everyone is asleep. When Emma quietly checks on her, she sees Lily standing at her window, whispering to the dark shapes in the corn. Lily turns to her mother and says, "They said it's almost time for me to go with them." Emma's heart drops. She knows now that the Cornfield Children are not imaginary. They're real, and they want to take Lily away. Emma tries to talk to David about what's happening, but he still doesn't fully believe her. He wants to protect his family, but he doesn't know how to fight something he can't see or understand. Emma knows they're running out of time. Emma decides to dig deeper into the diary and the town's history. She visits the local library and finds old records about the farmhouse and the disappearances of children from many years ago. The children vanished near the cornfields, and their bodies were never found. The townspeople believed that the spirits of the land had taken them, but over time, the stories were forgotten. Most people now think it was just old superstition, but after reading the diary, Emma knows the truth. The spirits of the sacrificed children are trapped in the cornfield, and they need another child to take their place. Lily has been chosen to be the next sacrifice, and unless they stop it, the Cornfield Children will take her on Halloween night, the night when the barrier between the living and the dead is the weakest. It's almost Halloween night, and the air around the farmhouse feels heavy with something dark and sinister. Emma and David try everything to keep Lily inside the house, but strange things start happening. The cornfield outside seems to come alive. The stalks rustle even when there's no wind, and it feels like something is moving through them, getting closer to the house. The shadows in the corn seem to grow, and Emma is sure she can see faces in the darkness, pale, thin faces of children staring back at her. Lily has been acting more and more distant, barely speaking to her parents. She spends her time standing by the window, staring at the corn, whispering to her friends. Emma feels powerless. She knows the Cornfield Children are coming for her daughter, and she can't stop them. On the night of Halloween, things take a terrifying turn. As the sky grows dark, Lily suddenly disappears from the house. Emma and David frantically search every room, calling her name, but she's nowhere to be found. Then, Emma sees the front door is wide open, and she knows exactly where Lily went, into the cornfield. Emma's heart pounds in her chest as she and David grab flashlights and run outside. The cornfield seems taller than ever, the stalks closing in around them like walls. They call out for Lily, but all they hear is soft laughter and whispers coming from deep within the corn. Emma and David push their way through the dark, twisting paths in the corn, desperate to find Lily. The deeper they go, the more they feel like they're being watched. They hear voices, soft, eerie children's voices, whispering their daughter's name. Suddenly, shadowy figures start moving through the corn. The figures are small, like children, and they dart in and out of sight, laughing and whispering. Emma and David try to follow them, but the figures are too fast, disappearing before they can get close. The air in the cornfield feels cold and heavy. It's hard to breathe, and the rustling of the corn feels like it's coming from every direction. Emma calls out for Lily, her voice shaking with fear. Then, through the maze of corn, they see a faint glow in the distance. Emma and David push through the last row of corn and find themselves in a clearing at the heart of the field. In the center of the clearing is an old stone altar covered in vines and dirt, forgotten for years. It looks like something from a dark ritual, and Emma knows this is where the sacrifices took place. Standing next to the altar is Lily. Her eyes are blank, and she's holding hands with 3 ghostly children, Eli, Sarah, and Peter. The children look thin and pale, their clothes old and torn. Their faces are sad, but there's something unnatural about them. The Cornfield Children look at Emma and David with hollow eyes. They speak in soft, eerie voices. We've waited so long. It's her turn now. Emma runs to Lily, but when she tries to pull her away, Lily won't move. She looks at her mother with a strange, empty expression and says, "It's okay, Mommy. They're my friends. They want to take me home." The Cornfield Children surround Emma and David, their faces twisting into angry scowls. They don't want to let Lily go. They need her to take their place so they can finally be free. The spirits of the children begin to whisper dark things, their voices growing louder and more menacing. The cornfield itself seems to react to their anger. The stalks shake violently, and a strong wind picks up, howling through the clearing. The corn seems to close in, trapping Emma, David, and Lily at the altar. David tries to pull Lily away from the children, but the ghostly hands of the Cornfield Children grab onto her, pulling her back. Their touch is icy cold, and their eyes glow with an eerie light. The spirits start to scream, their voices sharp and painful, echoing through the field. Emma remembers the diary they found and the terrible rituals it described. She realizes that the only way to save Lily is to destroy the altar. The altar is the source of the curse, the place where the sacrifices were made, and where the children's spirits are trapped. With shaking hands, Emma grabs a lighter from David's pocket. She knows the only way to stop the spirits is to burn the altar and break the curse. As she flicks the lighter, the Cornfield Children scream in rage, their ghostly figures flickering like flames in the wind. David helps Emma, as they pour gasoline over the altar, and with a final strike of the lighter, they set the ancient stones on fire. The flames roar to life, bright and fierce, as the wind howls louder. The Cornfield Children scream in agony, their forms twisting and disappearing into the smoke. The corn around the altar begins to wither and die, the curse breaking as the flames consume the altar. As the fire burns, the Cornfield Children slowly fade away. Their angry, twisted faces soften, and for the first time they look like real children, sad, lost, and innocent. Eli, Sarah, and Peter look at Emma, their eyes no longer hollow, but filled with a kind of peace. "Thank you," one of them whispers, before disappearing into the night. With the altar destroyed and the curse lifted, the cornfield begins to return to normal. The eerie whispers and rustling sounds stop, and the corn no longer feels alive. The air becomes still and quiet. As the Cornfield Children disappear, Lily collapses to the ground unconscious. Emma and David rush to her, holding her close. Slowly, Lily opens her eyes, blinking in confusion. She doesn't remember what happened, and she doesn't seem to recognize the names Eli, Sarah, or Peter anymore. Emma and David carry their daughter back to the house, relieved that the nightmare is finally over. After the terrifying events in the cornfield, the Johnson family tries to return to a normal life. The house feels quieter, and the cornfield, once so dark and eerie, now looks like an ordinary field of crops again. The haunting whispers are gone, and there are no more strange shadows or ghostly children lurking in the night. Emma, David, and Lily are relieved, but the events of the past few weeks still haunt their minds. They survived, but the trauma of what happened lingers in subtle ways. They start talking about moving away from the farmhouse and leaving the countryside for good. At first, Lily seems back to normal. She doesn't remember much about her time with the Cornfield Children, and she goes back to playing like any other 7-year-old. Emma and David are careful not to talk about what happened around her, hoping she'll forget it all. But soon, Emma notices small changes in Lily's behavior. Lily no longer talks about her friends, but sometimes Emma catches her staring out the window, her eyes fixed on the cornfield. She doesn't go out to play near the corn anymore, but she always seems to be watching it, as if she's waiting for something. One night, as Emma tucks Lily into bed, Lily quietly says, "I still hear them sometimes." When Emma asks what she means, Lily just smiles faintly and whispers, "They miss me." Emma's heart races, but she tries to stay calm, reassuring Lily that everything is okay. But deep down she knows something is still not right. Ever since the night they destroyed the altar, Emma has been having nightmares. In her dreams, she is back in the cornfield, surrounded by the ghostly children. They call out to her, their voices soft and sad, saying, "Come back." The corn stalks rise up around her, trapping her in the maze. No matter how hard she tries to run, she can't escape. In one particularly vivid dream, Emma is standing at the altar again. But this time, it's Lily who is being sacrificed. The ghostly children are watching, and they smile at Emma, their eyes glowing with a strange light. Emma wakes up, gasping for breath, the feeling of the cornfield still heavy in her chest. Even though the curse is broken, the cornfield still haunts her, like it hasn't fully let go of her mind. David tries to focus on fixing the house and planning their move, but even he starts to notice that strange things are still happening. He hears soft footsteps in the hallways at night, even though no one is there. The wind outside seems to whisper through the corn, calling their names just like it used to before. One evening, as David is walking through the yard, he notices something strange near the edge of the cornfield. Small footprints in the dirt, like those of a child. They lead from the corn right up to the house and then stop suddenly. David looks around, but there's no one there. He brushes it off as his imagination, but the uneasy feeling stays with him. One day, Emma runs into the old man from the local store, the one who told her the story about the Cornfield Children. When she tells him that they destroyed the altar and freed the spirits, he listens quietly. Then he gives her a strange look and says, "You might have freed them, but that doesn't mean they're gone." Emma feels a chill run down her spine. "What do you mean?" she asks. The old man explains that the land itself has been tainted by the dark rituals that happened there. Even though the spirits of the Cornfield Children have moved on, the energy of the place remains. The cornfield may never fully be free of its dark past, and it might still have a hold on anyone who lived through the haunting. On their last night in the farmhouse before they move away, Emma and David hear something strange. It's late, and they are packing the final boxes when they hear Lily's voice coming from outside. Panicked, they rush to her room, but Lily is still there, asleep in her bed. Yet the voice outside continues, soft and distant, calling, "Come play with us, Lily." Emma and David look at each other, fear in their eyes. They go to the window, and there, standing at the edge of the cornfield, are the ghostly silhouettes of children. Eli, Sarah, and Peter. They are faint, barely visible, but they are there, waiting. Emma slams the window shut, her heart pounding, but when she looks again, the children are gone. The cornfield sways gently in the wind as if nothing had happened. The next morning, the family leaves the farmhouse for good. Emma, David, and Lily pack up their things and drive away, feeling a mixture of relief and sadness. They are eager to start fresh, to leave behind the horrors of the cornfield. But as they drive down the road, Emma looks back one last time. In the distance, she swears she sees the shapes of children standing at the edge of the corn, watching them leave. She blinks, and the figures disappear. They move into a new house in a different town, far away from the cornfields. But the memories of what happened never fully leave them. Lily sometimes still talks about her friends in her sleep, and Emma and David are haunted by the feeling that something dark is still following them. Months later, as they settle into their new home, Emma notices that Lily has planted something in their backyard, a single stalk of corn. She asks Lily where she got it, and Lily just shrugs and smiles. "I wanted to bring a piece of the old house with me," she says. That night, as Emma lies in bed, she hears the wind rustling through the cornstalk in the backyard. At first, it's a soft, normal sound, but then she hears it, a faint, familiar whisper. "Come play with us." The story ends on an eerie, unsettling note. The Johnson family may have escaped the haunted farmhouse and the Cornfield children, but the darkness that surrounded them hasn't completely let go. The cornfield's curse lingers, quietly following them wherever they go. A reminder that some evils are never truly left behind.